I think it's really important to start with we all have a story and we all have our own unique journeys that really do shape who we are and who we become. And I think for me, at a young age, when I was in my early 20s, I realized that I was here for a bigger purpose, that my life, my journey, my path, hardships, challenges, and experiences really shaped and molded me and prepared me for the work that I'm doing today and the work that I've been doing for the last few years. And so for me, my story has really impacted and influenced the way that I show up and how I am being a change maker in life, like how I'm being a change maker in this world. And it's very honed in on helping women. It's always been about helping women. It's always been about helping women see their potential, to empower them to believe in themselves, to overcome limitations, to break cycles, to break patterns, to really step into their true authentic selves and to find their own purpose and their own passion, to be who they are and to be the change makers that they were meant to be. And so a lot of that is who I am, but it came from somewhere. And I want to share a little bit about that today and how that started. I think it's really important to kind of go back to the roots of my younger days, right? And growing up with a young single mother with three other siblings and being the oldest. And I always say this because it's very important. My mom, I grew up in a home filled with a lot of love. A lot of love. And I remember my mom, even though my mom and my dad were separated, but my mom and my dad always told me, you can be anything you want to be, right? So even though the circumstances are, growing up, I grew up in the hood, hood, right? The environment wasn't always a positive, nurturing environment in the neighborhoods that we lived in, but I always grew up in a home full of love and encouragement. So I think that really stood with me. But in my early adolescent years, I think that when you grow up in a family, and I think that this is really important too, I grew up in a family of a lot of dysfunction, like when I think about like growing up, my mom did the best that she could with what she knew at the time. But like you come from generations, right? It's like, I think it's really important too, that I'm going to highlight and note, like I come from generations of a lot of like dysfunction too, right? And I think that there's a lot of families out there that also have their own set of dysfunction, right? And so for me, it was really normal to see family members in and out of jail. It was really normal for me to see drugs and alcohol be part of that external environment. Yeah. And when you grow up in that, it shapes and molds you a certain way with a certain mentality. And I dropped out of high school and I got pregnant and I was in a really unhealthy, toxic relationship with a man that was 13 years older than me at the time. That was my life at 16. Abuse, mentally, emotionally, physically, being a mother, but also a child, and feeling very lost and feeling very broken and feeling very unworthy and worthless, right? And I feel as though that was a product of conditioning and my environment, and it's generational, right? It's generational when you break it. But I also think it's very important to note that there's also this like fire in me. There was this fire in me. And I don't know exactly where that came from, but I just know that there was always this fire in me to want more, to go for more, and to break the cycle. And fast forward, I eventually left that unhealthy relationship after 4 years being a kid and being in that and raising a daughter. But I also think it's really important to note that there was a point in time, a pivotal moment when I found my power, I found my voice in that situation. And I finally got the courage and the strength to walk away from it. And it was like rebuilding. It was a rebuilding of myself at the age of 20, rebuilding myself, finding who I am and figuring my way out in the world. But I was so determined to break the cycle. I was so determined to give more to my daughter. My daughter is the reason. She was like the catalyst for change. Catalyst. And to also make something of my life, to make something of myself.
What was your influence for that feeling that there was just something more for you? Did you have any influences?
So of course, having a daughter at that young age was, again, wanting better for her life and wanting to change that. But I feel as though there was just this like desire deep in me to just be like, no, I am more than this. I am more than this. And it ends with me. I feel like it was just within myself that I felt that. But of course I had exterior people and influences that helped me during that process to grow and evolve. I went back to high school. I got my diploma. I put myself through college while raising her. And I came out of that with a business degree, and I went on with that vision of like, I need to start. I'm going to run my own business. I'm gonna run an event planning company. And then fast forward later, working in marketing, and then eventually I did launch that event planning business, and I met you, and we became friends. And I remember that second pivotal moment came to me in my journey, and it was, you have to go out and start a women's support group. You've got to go out and help women somehow, because you've been through it and you understand, you've been through that experience, and you have something to give back, to show other women that they are also capable of doing it. And it was just that desire. And that's what led me to starting Skyple, that women's networking group, and then, growing my own little company. And I learned a lot through that, but that also opened me up to this other world of like spirituality. Right. And that's when the doors open to that evolution of learning and growth and learning more about myself. And
why things happen the way they happen.
Why things happen the way they happen. So for the next few years of building this women's networking group and finding myself and trying different things and learning more about who I was, and also going on a healing journey, that's when I had that crazy idea to move to Toronto. I felt this pull to move to Toronto.
Worst day of my life. I was sad, but I also knew that's what you had to do. And you were adamant. You said, this is what I have to do, and I don't know why I am being pulled there. Listen, it led you somewhere.
It did.
It led you somewhere.
It did.
And it's no little thing.
Yeah.
It's a big thing to move across country with 2 little kids, because you had your son and your daughter, and by yourself, single mom.
So in 2020, I made the leap. I made the move. I moved to Toronto with both of my children. And that was right at the height of the pandemic. I remember juggling a full-time job at the time, and then homeschooling kids, and the world was shut down. Everything changed. It was completely different. And I remember feeling so isolated during that transition in that time. And originally when I set out to move, I thought, this is it. I'm going to get the opportunities. I'm going to, this is it. It's going to be amazing. But honestly, what happened was I hit rock bottom.
Yes.
I hit rock bottom when I moved, and it was the best thing. It was a gift wrapped in sandpaper, and I learned so much about myself. It was a healing journey. 4 years later, I'm here and I'm thriving, and I've learned so much, and I've built so much strength within myself. My kids are thriving, and I just believe everything happens for a reason. And when we go through these challenges, when we go through hardships, we really get to learn what we're capable of. But there's always a beautiful lesson in it. There's always something beautiful that we get to share with others, that we get to give to others through that experience. And so it's about taking all of those experiences, all of those things, all of those little versions of Whitley that I've lived and I've gone through, and really embracing her and all of her, accepting all of her, but then taking that to show up and do good in the world. To not look at myself as a victim or, poor her, poor me, but to take that as an opportunity to use it to create change, to feel growth and to inspire. Because we all have a journey, and no matter where you come from, no matter your background, no matter what you've been through, you have something so incredible to share with the world because of that, because it's unique to you, because it's unique to your journey. But you have so many beautiful gifts within that you get to share with others. And I feel that that's part of both of our whys, is to taking those parts of our own unique journey and being able to share that with women like you, so that you can step into your power and continue sharing those beautiful things about yourself with others.
Yeah. And I truly believe that, we say, oh, this is happening to me. It's not happening to you. It is happening for you. And we go through hardships for a reason. And sometimes there's cycles we need to break. And the things that happen to us over and over again, we need to recognize those things and say, what is this teaching me? What do I need to change? What do I need to do to be the best version of me, to live my best life?
Journey of unlearning. It's a journey, it's a journey of learning. It's a journey of self-reflection, but a lot of unlearning and a lot of unraveling of the old.
And we're still growing. We still grow.
Oh, we're always growing. We're never going to stop growing. I just want to I want to share this part too. I want to share the part of all of those experiences that I've gone through. I've had countless times that I wanted to give up. I've had countless times where I beat myself up. I've had countless times where I didn't want to get out of bed and I didn't feel like I could keep going. I've had times where I felt like I didn't want to keep living. I had times where I thought that this was all that life was going to give me and life wasn't going to get any better. I had times where I did play the poor me card and the victim card. And I've had so many times where I've had weak moments where I really, truly just wanted to give up and just throw in the towel. And I think that it's important to also share that I have had incredible people in my corner, in my circle, who have always been there to support me, to have lifted me up out of the darkness. And I think it's also really important to share and highlight that even when you do have all of that support and you have those people in your corner, it always comes back to you because you have to be the one to pick yourself up at the end of the day. You have to want to pick yourself up and find that fire within you. But I think it's really important to just share that, hey, even though I've been through these things, I'm still a human being and I still have a lot of weaknesses. And there are in still times where I feel like I want to give up and that life is hard because it is too. And that's normal because I'm not over here trying to be like, I'm a superhuman and, I can do this and do that. Sure. Yes. I feel like I can do anything I put my mind to, but I'm also human, just like everyone else. I'm just like every other woman out there, where I still have my weak moments and I've had my hard days and hard months and a hard year, but you find that fire within you and you pick yourself up and you always have something to guide you, right? Having a why, have that inner why, that inner desire that is driving you towards something, because that's something that I've always had to help push me toward those things, to get up when I don't feel like getting up, right?
100%. This is real life scenarios with women, and they don't necessarily have to go through, an abusive relationship to know this. This is something that every woman has gone through some sort of experience in their life that has shaped the way they think and their limiting beliefs and that they have about themselves, and their journey of self-love, becomes questioned. And their journey of should I keep going is constantly questioned.
You have a responsibility to show up. You have a responsibility to live in alignment with what you know. I can't show up and do the stuff that I used to do back then because I'm like, well, that wouldn't be in line with who I am today, right? Although it was simple to be ignorant and to not have to worry about doing anything or showing up or sticking to a goal or to just lots of different things, right?
But I love that you shared your story, and I think that a lot of women here can relate to many parts of that. I can, even though I didn't go through the same journey, I feel like I can go through the same feelings.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for doing that, and thank you all for listening to Whitley's story. And if you have any comments, if you want to share this podcast, if you want to let Whitley know what you think, or give her some of your little wisdom takeaways from that or your story, we would love to hear it on the podcast. And we'll see you guys on the next.
Hey, sister.
Bye.
Hey, soul sister, before you go, we want to share something with you. We believe that every woman has a story worth sharing and a voice worth hearing, and we'd love to hear yours. Share your personal breakthroughs, challenges, and journey with us by applying to be featured on our podcasts, speaking events, or future publications. Want to join the movement? You can help us by reaching more women like you by leaving us a review, subscribing, or sharing it with someone who needs a little inspiration today. You can catch us on all our socials and stay up to date on all the fun to come. Remember, Soul Sister, together we rise.